The thing that made Michael Jackson a legend was passion. He was a very passionate person about everything in his life, from his music to his appearance, whatever the case may be. He did everything to the fullest. He did with passion, and I mean, I think the stamp that he's left on this planet will never ever fade.
He was like the definition of what a great pop star was. You know, I grew up in the 80s where he was the king, and when you think about big star in music, and for somebody like me who from an early age wanted to be a star in music, he was who I looked to as the definition of what it meant to be a big star in music.
The first time I spoke to Michael Jackson, he actually called me on my cell phone. I have no idea how he got the number.
Michael called you on your
Michael
cell
called me on my cell phone. Now, the conversation went a little something like this. It was like, hello? Hey, who is this? This is Michael. Michael who? Michael Jackson. Click, and I hung up. Who expects Michael Jackson to call him on the cell phone? So then 10 minutes later, a person calls and says, hey, I have Mr. Jackson on the line for you. Could you please hold? So I was like, oh, damn, I hung up on Michael Jackson. So I'm talking to him, and I tried to play it off. I tried to lie. I was like, yeah, I was driving through a tunnel.
He was an inspiration. That he was music. He brought a lot to us. I mean, he just changed pop music. I mean, and he put making, what is it, the videos on MAP, like how long was
Thriller was like 13 minutes.
I mean,
yeah.
he just upped all, you know,
The ante.
yeah,
To the
level,
max.
to the
Yeah,
max.
to the
You have to
max.
bring your performance.
It's sad. We're going to miss Michael. It's really unbelievable because he was such a large personality that he's not in this world anymore.
Michael Jackson was an original. Michael Jackson was just so full of life. I will never forget that night when the Jackson 5 came out on TV. It was the Ed Sullivan Show, and I remember just sitting there, and it was just like, oh my God, I can do that. Look at him. He was just so phenomenal. Stop the love you save might be your own. Ah! And you know the way he just did it, and that afro, I mean, it was just like, oh, let me cut all my hair off and have that hairstyle.
Go back, everybody, and listen to every single one of his songs and reevaluate some of the things that brother was saying. I mean, I did that, and I'm listening to some of the things that he was saying. That man was deeply in love with something. I just want to touch and love you, baby. I just want to hug you, darling. I just want to love you. You give me butterflies. Even when he was singing a ballad, there was a funkiness to that. There was we call it a hump. Even when he was singing ABC, junk to easy, there was this thing that was undeniable, which is why nobody covers his records, because you can't touch it.
In 1970, my father was starring on a show called Sesame Street. He was the original Gordon on Sesame Street, and as his daughter, about 6 or 7 years old, I had the opportunity to meet the Jackson 5, who came to town and play a concert at the Spectrum in Philly. My very first concert. It was the most amazing memory, and I was scared to death to meet him because Michael Jackson and Jackson 5 were everything to me. I couldn't sleep at night thinking about Michael. And so this opportunity was one in a million. And I couldn't lift my eyes. I could barely look at him. I was so scared, just nervous, I guess. But it was a great memory, and I'll always cherish the photos we took that day. And remember the music and really remember just the true talent that he was.
You can think all day, well, what would I do if I was with Michael Jackson? And you think you'd be cool, and you think, well, you know, I don't really get excited for anybody until you're sitting right there with him, and you're just kind of like, my God, Michael Jackson is like right here. And I'm singing in the booth, and he's kind of telling me what he wants me to sing. And then I'm start singing, and he starts freaking out. I'm like, Michael Jackson is loving what I'm doing. It's like, it's almost like one of those things, like when you're a little kid and you're playing sports and your dad's there. It's like that same kind of feeling. It's different because that's your dad, but you want to do well for the guy who does this better than anyone else. And the fact that he was liking it, he was telling me how much he enjoyed my music was really a trip. Now that he's gone, let's just remember him for all the good things that he did for all of us. If you're at my age, there was probably not a time when I don't remember that Michael was in my life. So I have all this music. We live in an electronic age where you can have Michael at the touch of a button whenever you want. And it's not going to be about any other stuff that has to, you know, whatever else he had going on in his personal life. We all have things in our personal lives. Unfortunately for him, his were under not a magnifying glass, but a telescope. in the scope of what he had to deal with. So I just remember him for what he did for me, which was make me believe that I could do anything.
He's still an artist that I quite can't understand how he got so great on stage. He was like a terminal. Like, he really dedicated his whole entire life to art and the talent that God blessed him with. He wanted to give. He meant the world to me.
When you think of all of the reincarnations from a child to a teenager, to a young man, to a grown man, to maintain that integrity in the music, that's unparalleled. It's unheard of. I want him to rest now. I just want it all to evolve around letting him go, because his legacy is here. It is in stone, you know, as Earth, Wind, and Fire would say. It's written in the stone. And what's left to do now is to pay our respects to him. And the best way that I could do that would be to give my condolences to his mother. This is where I am right now, for a mother to lose a son. And I just want him to rest. His legacy is in stone.
Michael Jackson was a brilliant man and a brilliant artist, and his capacity to raise the vibration of the planet resonated through his music, and we just thank God for his life and his presence, and may he rest in peace.